Let's now turn to the view from inside Gaza. Let's bring in Thomas White from the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees. Mr. White, we just heard from the Israeli ambassador and his view. From what you are seeing, what's the reality in Gaza right now?
Martha, the situation is still very desperate. Of course, the fighting rages in the north. And once again, we have horrific scenes coming out of one of our schools that was hit during that fighting. A large number of people killed. We're still trying to verify the information from up there. It's very clear it is an UNRWA school. And so the death toll continues to mount, and these are people sheltering inside an UNRWA school.
And the Israeli ambassador told me just before he sat down that they believe it might have been an errant Israeli shell that hit that area, although he said he does dispute the numbers. And let's talk about Al-Shifa. What are you seeing now? It sounds absolutely desperate there.
Today there was a team that went up to Al-Shifa. It composed of the World Food Programme, it composed of WHO, UNICEF and UNRWA, and in partnership with the Palestinian Red Crescent Society, and we moved 31 neonatal babies out of Shifa. From all accounts, the situation in Shifa sounds desperate, and there are still a large number of people in a critical situation in that hospital.
Israel said that people should probably just go to a different hospital, move south. Is that possible?
Look, this is the reality of this conflict, is that people in Gaza have got nowhere to go. It's unlike other conflicts where there's fighting in one city and you move to another city. In Gaza, there is nowhere to go. Houses are being hit all across the Gaza Strip. People are worried about if they're in the north or in the south, are they safe? I mean, just to give you a sense, during the course of this war, we've had 13 of the UNRWA shelters, people sheltering under a UN flag that have been directly hit. There's countless other shelters, over 30 shelters that suffered collateral damage. Many of them are actually in the south. 73 people have been killed in these shelters, a large proportion of them in the south. The reality is the Gazans have got nowhere to go for safety, and they are all exposed to the threat of fighting and particularly airstrikes.
And briefly, if you can, what is Gaza's future?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think what I can say is it's going through the mind of every Gazan here. Obviously, well over half of the population have been displaced at very short notice, many of them arriving in the south with the clothes they stood in. For many of them, right now, it's just a struggle to survive. It's a struggle to get enough bread, somewhere out of the rain, access medical care, find somewhere that's safe, really. So for many of them, it's just, they're thinking about how they provide for their family tomorrow. But increasingly, people are very worried about what does the future hold for them? Where are they going to live? Where are they going to get their children educated? What does the future hold? And that's the big question on the minds of Gazans right now.
Thanks so much for your time this morning, Mr. White, and your courageous work.